it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now. Or post. Of all, you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives book out on Amazon, and this fibromyalgia self-help handbook. So go and check these out on Amazon after the show and grab your copy. So yes, what are the pros and cons of giving someone a second chance when dating asexuals or dating heterosexuals? That is a big question. So the reason why this has come up is because I have been a little bit quiet about some of my private life, if you like, and on Facebook dating them back in May. And I don't usually give second chances to people. I believe that if you try and give a guy a second chance, literally he will just repeat the same mistakes over again. He would just be as horrible to you as he was before, if he was horrible, and all the issues you had with that person before you'll have again. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that the other person can't be at fault and that it's just one person's fault, but when I come across guys that I split from, I stop talking to, it's usually because they're not respectful of me, they lied to me, they're interested in sex, which I'm not, or some other reason where they're just not suitable. But usually it comes with some sort of like disrespect or lies or you know, that type of thing. So anyway, in those circumstances, I really don't believe usually in giving someone a second chance, because it's like, what is the frigging point? If you don't trust them, you can't ever trust them again. So is there any pros and cons? Well, clearly there's cons, but is there any pros to giving someone a second chance? Right. So last month I decided to do something different. I decided to give the first guy I saw, the older guy, who is Pakistani, I decided to give him a second chance because unfortunately he told me some stuff that wasn't true about himself. The story he portrayed to me wasn't correct. His age wasn't correct. And I'm not going to go into his personal story because I don't think that's fair or right. But all I will say is after Frozen on the 31st of May, I actually gave him an opportunity to meet up with me in person after I unblocked my phone, because he was on this channel and he was actually leaving comments and said he'd like to meet me, and we were originally going to meet up after Frozen anyway. So I gave him a chance to be able to show me documentation that would prove his second real story to me, including like his actual date of birth and stuff like that. And he didn't actually show up, even though I gave him the opportunity. He made some excuse like, oh, my landlord's selling the place where I'm living, so I doubt I'll be able to, I doubt, or I don't know, was his words, that I'll be able to come. I might not be able to come. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, if a landlord sells a property, it's not going to be immediately sold that day. And it was a once in a lifetime opportunity for him to be able to set the record straight with me, and for him to try and gain some element of trust back with me, and possibly even be my friend, right? Which clearly he would have been no good as a friend if he can't even show up on time, be reliable and be honest. But unfortunately, he was even saying to me that he didn't break my trust, right? You can't go around telling someone else how they feel, right? If I feel he broke my trust because he lied to me about his age and deceived me about some other stuff, then that's my prerogative not to trust him again. It's no good at him telling me that I do trust him when I don't. Like, he didn't break my trust when he did. And so, you know what I mean? It's just like trying to blur the reality. It's really not a good guy that does that type of thing. And it's a shame, because I thought he might turn a leaf and he might actually come good and, just lay all his cards on the table and say, look, this is, I'm really sorry I lied to you. This is, I understand that you don't trust me. Here is kind of like the truth. Here's the documentation like I promised you. But no, didn't show up. So I sent him a message to say goodbye. I'm blocking you now. I blocked him from this channel. He's probably a hidden user still. I don't know, because I couldn't see what channels he subscribed to, but he said he was subscribed to mine. So anyway, and he was commenting. So I wish him luck and the best, But clearly, you know, if someone's usually deceived you before and lied to you, giving them a second chance, like, even if you try to do that, there's still going to be trust issues. And if you can't trust the person, then you can't be around them or with them, you know? So you'd have to, in cases where people have lied, they'd have to prove that they are not a liar anymore and that they've turned a new leaf. And that probably would have to go on for a few years for you to be able to regain trust with them, you know? And it's better off if they really go and sort themselves out. But if he doesn't even believe that he broke my trust because he thinks I should just automatically trust someone who lied or deceived me, then, you know, that is a really bad red flag. But the benefit, or the pro, if you like, of doing that was it really set my mind straight that I'd been fair to him. I'd given him a second chance. I'd enabled him to be able to see me again after originally blocking him, and giving that one time to get, you know, to really set the record straight when he didn't. And so it is his loss. And, you know, I can move on now knowing and being happier in the knowledge that I was right in the first place, you know? And the other guy, the guy I kissed who was 21 years old, who I did absolutely adore kissing at the time. I had a great time that day, but afterwards, instead of like either saying we're not suitable, full stop, or for a relationship, or, you know, something similar, he said, or actually he wouldn't want a relationship with me. He said basically that he wanted a kissing hookup. You know, he just wanted to hook up for kissing until he got a girlfriend and I got a boyfriend, basically, and come to my flat. And there's no way I want to be used like that, right? And so I blocked him on Facebook, I blocked him on my phone, and then he started messaging my Facebook Asexualise page. And he messaged me once, and then like more recently he's messaged me again. So I unblocked my phone both times and tried to message him back on the 24th of May and the 9th of June, I think it was. But he didn't bother replying. Then all of a sudden, on Sunday, he starts texting me again out of nowhere, and he didn't reply to my other messages. And he's like, "Oh, what messages?" Like a bit in denial, which wasn't very good. And then by the end of the conversations, so I basically was giving him a second chance. By the end of the conversation, he doesn't care what I do in terms of relationship with other people, because all he cares about is just meet up again for kissing, for a kissing hookup. And I said to him, I've already told you I don't want to hook up just for kissing. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. Because clearly, at least I know for now for definite, you're not interested in a relationship with me. You're just wanting to hook up, and I'm not interested in that. And so I said bye, and he said bye, and I said I'm blocking you again on my phone now. So it's blocked on my phone. So, you know what I mean? These second chances just prove, which is a very big prove that I was right in the first place. Now, as a child, unfortunately, I was made to feel that any decision I made in my life would be the wrong one, and that they would be there to pick up the pieces, which implies no matter what I do, it's always wrong. And so as an adult, it's quite hard for me to trust myself, as in my judgment. I trust myself a lot, actually, to take care of myself, but in trust my own judgment. But by giving these two guys second chances, it actually enabled me to just know that my decision about both of them was right in the first place. And the reason why I decided what I did, it's perfectly spot on as well. So I was right all along. And sometimes I think maybe we just need extra reassurance that a second chance you give to someone would give you, if you know what I mean. And it kind of ease the mind a bit if you give someone a second chance, because it's like you've actually given them another opportunity. If they effort up this time, then you know that they're not worthy of having any more opportunities, and that you know that you were right in the first place. So basically, because I gave both these guys opportunities, it actually made me feel better, because I felt like I've been really fair to them, extra fair, more fair if you like, and I gave them an opportunity to put the situation right, to correct it. But the problem was, it was still there. The problem was, whatever it was, is still there. You know, the first guy not being able to reveal the whole truth, not being able to trust him, this you know, and he's you know, denying my reality of not trusting him. And then the kissing guy, great at the time for the kiss, but there's no way I'll want to meet up with him again for kissing when I know that's all he wants and is interested in. That would feel awful to me. I wouldn't want to kiss a guy in that position. So, but I thought it was for a kissing hookup, but I've confirmed it now for definite, and so that makes me feel a lot better. I've confirmed it, that I've got those guys out my way. I've given them opportunities. They both came back into my life. I gave them both opportunities and both of them stuffed it up, and so now I know that I can just move on for those guys, There is a guy recently I had a date with, but seems we're not suitable. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. But yeah, so I think the pros and cons, the cons of obviously giving someone a second chance is it is anxiety inducing again, because if you don't trust them and they caused issues with you before, then you're kind of reliving that traumatic, anxiety inducing and stressful experience, right? They don't usually change. And so you've got all the same problems over and over again, which is energy draining. And you kind of, some of your emotions might come back for that person, some love feelings, some romantic feelings, some intense feelings. And it's kind of like going backwards in that way, because you got it out of your system all to a certain extent. You need to get it out of your system all over again. So that's not so good. But sometimes we just need, which is a pro, we just need to be able to have another conversation with that person. We need to be able to have a final discussion and wrap things up. So sometimes when we just leave someone's life and they come back in it and we don't give them a second chance, sometimes I feel it's more detrimental to us, because we're always thinking, what if? Like in my case, I sometimes think, what if I was wrong about a person? I haven't been wrong, by the way. I've been right every single time so far. I've never been wrong about it. My instincts have always been right about a guy. I've been spot on, but he hasn't admitted it usually. And so, I guess with me, it's like always a what if. And I usually feel sorry for the guy, even if he's trapped me really badly, as in lied to me, disrespected me, wants to use me. Particularly the disrespect and lying. I actually feel so sorry for him. That comes from the fact I'm very empathetic, because I feel like, are you completely stupid? Excuse me for being like this, but I think you're completely stupid. You had a really good opportunity of a great girl in front of you who would have looked after you, who would have cared for you and taught you the right ways of life, if you like, and who would have been very loyal and faithful, and you just completely screwed that up. You know what I mean? You screwed it up with her. And I get really kind of like angry for themselves, and really upset for themselves. I shouldn't really feel like that, because at the end of the day, they're not good for me. And I should be feeling much more sorry for myself. But I end up feeling really sorry for them, thinking, God, you're just like going to go through life being unconscious and lying and deceiving, or not telling the truth, which is basically deceiving. I just think, how can you go through life being like that? How can you not change? And so I end up feeling very angry for them and that they're messing up their life, because I truly believe that these guys are just like, they're not conscious, they're not living their best life, and I feel sorry for them. I'm thinking, God, if all you can do is lie and deceive, or and just use people, I just think it's so sad for them. I mean, what sort of life are they going to have? They just keep going like this with every single, presumably, woman they meet. It's just going to be sad for them. And I'm thinking, I feel like saying, wake up. Can't you see that you need to change yourself? But they won't see that, because they don't think there's anything wrong with them. That's the problem. And so when you give a second chance to someone, unless they've changed themselves consciously themselves, then giving a second chance to them is going to be no good, because they're going to be exactly the same person they was before. One of my friends recently gave a second chance to someone, and that person was exactly the same as they were before. That's all I'm going to say, because that's their private business. But both times I've done it with these guys back in from May, both times are exactly as I left them. you know, and it gets really disappointing. I can't, I guess, of giving someone a second chance. It gets really disappointing. You think that when you go back for the second chance opportunity, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I've got to take it, and I need to change myself, and I need to be a better person, and go and actually action that and do it. But they don't. They end up being exactly the same person they were before, and probably worse, because now you know their secrets and you know what they're really like, and now they just can't really hide it anymore, and they trip up, you know, their words, they contradict themselves, they tell more lies or more deceit, or you really see them in the cold light of day for what they actually are, what you thought they were, and they've just clarified it. I like the clarification. I think the clarification is great. I think it's a really good point. You know, if you give someone a second chance, for me personally, it clarifies the fact I've made a good decision to leave their life. Clarifies the fact they're not worthy of my love. It clarifies the fact that they don't find me valuable, so there's no point in me staying with them, because there's no value in that for me. Like, I find that I attract a lot of guys where I'm giving value to them. They've got something I've got something they want, but they're not really giving anything much to me apart from stuff that's not useful. So yeah, I think really, you know, like overall, I don't believe it's good to give people second chances, in the sense that I don't believe they deserve it. I believe that they don't change, the majority of them. And, you know, is it really worth the time, energy and effort giving someone a second chance? Well, if you give someone a second chance, it doesn't take up much of your life space, and you do it sooner rather than later, and you're not thinking what if for 5+ years, then it can be a good thing, because now I know that both of those people in May that I met in person on Facebook dating were no good for me. And I've clarified that by giving them both a second opportunity, you know, and so that's been quite quick. You know, we're in June now, it's May last month, and so I know that I don't have to go through the next 5 years of my life thinking, well, what if I should have just done this, or what if that, or what if this? You know, I know for certain both those guys are completely no good for me. It's really crystal clear now. It's clarified at 100 billion%, if you like. And so that is a huge pro. Like, I never used to give second chances whatsoever, but when I've just done it recently, it actually felt better in terms of my mind was put at rest. It was basically clarifying and confirming my beliefs. And, you know, like, you could argue, like, why don't I just believe myself? And for me personally, I'm still trying to gain more and more trust and confidence and belief in myself. I'm really good a lot of the time, but there's still certain issues going on. Like, whenever I let someone go through my life, I'm like, have I made the right decision? Did you know, should I have done this? Should I have done that? And, you know, at the end of the day, I haven't not made a right decision so far. I've always made the right decision, you know? And like I said, it's usually hugely disappointing if you do give someone a second chance. They just, like, they're no better than what they were before. Sakura, yeah, it honestly depends. You make a great point where it's risky, where people can never learn and do the same. Depends on who it is. Thank you. It's nice to see you. Yeah, I mean, I've not personally known anyone for me who it's lovely to see you, who, you know, who's ever changed. I do know there's a couple of people I know in person, and one of them never got divorced from their first husband, and they actually got back together. But he didn't cheat, he didn't lie. He was just, actually, his job took over his life and she couldn't stand it anymore. So, you know, he didn't cheat or lie on her or anything like that. So they didn't have any deception or lies or deceit going on and broken trust in that way. And then I know another person who got back with her husband. They got married really young and they had a kid, and he did cheat on her, but she forgave him this is years later. And they did get back to, you know, they remarried. So that was those two cases, those are the only cases I know of where they got remarried. I know one guy who I used to be friends with who completely turned over a leaf, if you like, but later on in his life with someone else, not while I knew him personally a lot. Like, he doesn't speak to me anymore, but basically he used to be a womanizer, have 2 women on the go at once, and then years later he's now married with children and not interested in other women, and a police officer now as well. So he's completely changed his life around. And so there are rare circumstances where, you know, but that wasn't the woman he's married to now with kids. She didn't have to give him a second chance because he changed before he met her. Do you know what I mean? So that's a bit different. But, you know, I was just pointing out that some people can change. But it's like years ago as well, when I split up with my last long-term ex in 2011, there was a guy that I was always thinking about for years, which was a childhood boyfriend I had. And it was left as the fact that actually as a triangle between him and the previous long-term ex I had. And when I went to the last long-term ex, I was kind of always thinking about that guy. And after I split with my last long-term ex, a couple of months later, or a few months later, or X amount of time later, I ended up seeing this guy, and he was worse. He was actually a complete womanizer. He'd got kids by different women. He'd had two twin women, I think, on the go at once, and he actually admitted to me he isn't even interested in me, even though he was like, I was in contact with him and that. And so that was like disappointing after all those years of thinking he was a certain guy that he wasn't. But you know what I mean? In my personal opinion, I don't think it's good to give people second chances, and the fact that usually they haven't changed and they're just going to give you more of a headache, and it's kind of going backwards. But more recently, because I have given some guys a second chance, and I've proved myself exactly right of why I split from them in the first place. When I'm saying split with them, I've not been in a relationship. I was just dating them, but split contact from them, split up from dating them, if you like. And then, it's given me peace of mind that I've actually made a great decision and I can just move on. Because it's kind of like you've revisited it and it's like, is there anything else that I've missed that is like, that maybe I was wrong, or, but it's kind of like, I think it's because I won't want to say I doubt myself, but it's because I don't fully believe, or I find it hard to believe that I'm right about someone, because I was, like I said, when I was a child, I was always made to feel that whatever decision I made would be the wrong decision. I was always made to feel there's two sides to every story, so my side can't be right. And I don't like saying that, but that's the way it was portrayed. Yeah, you could argue there's two sides. It doesn't mean to say that my side is incorrect and that they're not deceiving and not lying to me. But yeah, so it's always like, you've got to like just make a decision, and you've got to decide if this person's worth keeping in your life or not. And usually, in my experience, they're not. And these last two people I've spoke to, again, though, it was good for me in the sense that I could get some closure for both of them, knowing I've made a really good decision not to be with either of them again. I need to move on because they're just not right for me, And I find that quite liberating. I've been reluctant to ever do that before because I just think it's best to move on. But sometimes, especially because I've got an anxious personality type, sometimes it just goes round your head like, what if I was wrong? What if there's some way that they're gonna like change themselves and they're gonna become this better person, they're gonna see the error of their ways? But it doesn't usually happen like that. These type of guys do not think there's anything wrong with what they're doing. They do not see any error of their ways because they do not think they've got any errors of their ways. They just don't see it. And so, like going to speak to them again can be like going backwards. But sometimes in life, you have to go backwards in order to go forwards. So with both these guys from Facebook Date last month, because I went backwards in the sense I gave them both a second chance, which they didn't take the opportunity in a good way. But they proved me right as to why I couldn't be with them in the first place, But by doing that, I've got closure. I've got yes, you were definitely right about them, Sandra. I'm hoping that it goes towards building a better confidence in myself, that I am right. My judgment is completely spot on when it comes to guys and things. I always find it difficult to believe I'm so right about these guys because, I don't know them very long, and I'm kind of like judging them based on the way they treat me, which is usually not right. And so it's very quick that I have to make these judgments of them not treating me correctly, and and get the hell out of that situation really fast, right? Because there's no point in staying in situations that are no good for you. But it's kind of like, oh, I saw this quite quickly. Is this real? Is this true? But I've got so many years of experience now that I know how to spot scammers. I know how to spot liars usually. I know how to spot people who are not telling me the truth. And, I know people that are not right for me. And I usually can be spot on about why they're not right and what's happening, really, rather than the story they're portraying to me. And so, in a way, I guess it will help contribute to, confirming they're definitely wrong for me and why, and confirming what I thought is only going to try and more trust in a way with myself. But then there's got to be a point in the future where I just get to the stage where, you know what I mean, I don't give second chances. I'm off, because I know that I've made the right decision in the first place. But but there is a saying that goes, everyone deserves a second chance. And if you truly believe that, then obviously you're going to give people second chances. But does everyone truly deserve a second chance? Does everyone deserve a second chance? If they have not changed and they're still being disrespectful to you, then they clearly, don't deserve a second chance, because, what's the point? It's just going to repeat itself, and that's the danger. You just repeat the cycle over again and you don't move any further forward. But sometimes in life you can't move forward if you've got some doubts about splitting up, if you've got some kind of like things in your mind, like what if things were different, what if you carried on just talking to them a little bit more, and so sometimes it's good to just do it to get closure. Of course there might be the odd person in the world that does turn over complete new leaf, and you give them a second chance and they're like, my God, thank God this person's giving me a second chance. I really love and adore them. I'm so sorry I screwed it up with you and broke your trust and did some really terrible things. And this is all the stuff I've done to work on myself. This is how I'm working on myself, because I want to change myself, because I know it's bad to you and I know I treat you like shite. And I'm never going to do that again. There's going to be the odd person in the world that does actually get in that mindset, but they're going to be few and far between, because don't forget, all these people don't realize they have a problem, right? They don't realize that it's not okay to lie, and it's not okay to lie that you've lied, and it's not okay to tell someone, oh, you do trust me, if the person doesn't trust them. You can't speak for someone else. This is a very controlling, dominating, manipulative behavior, and so there's going to be the odd person, but honestly, I do feel sorry for all these guys that just can't see the problems that they have and want to work on themselves. Because I'm thinking, doesn't matter what woman you go to, unless you treat her better than you treat me and be honest and open and don't use and actually, put time, energy and effort into that person, then you're just going to end up with the same problems year after year after year. A lot of the guys I come across as well, they're quite lonely. They're lonely guys, and they want love and they want care and they want someone to spend time with them. Yeah, and a lot of them have got insecurity issues. They've got other problems going on in their life. But yet when there's someone there who's kind, caring and nice to them, they just take advantage of it and they don't appreciate it. So I feel really sorry for them, because years later it's going to be like you're going to be in the same position with lots of other women over and over again. You're going to end up being alone, not treating them well, never having a satisfactory relationship, never truly loving someone in a healthy way. And I just think that's really sad. I only hope that the guys work on their issues, and realise that they can change. I have changed myself a lot over the years. When I was in an abusive relationship years ago, there was things I wasn't feeling great about myself, and I did a lot of work on myself to change myself. I'm still work in progress. Everyone is, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, and so but you've got I'm like trying to work on myself. I'm like developing myself, growing myself, trying to expand my mindset and stuff like this. I'm trying to understand people. I'm trying to listen to people, understand feelings, emotion. I'm trying to be the best person I can be. But there's so many people that just seem to not actually have the capacity or want or desire to change themselves. They just think it's okay to go around treating someone like that and it's fine. And it really isn't. I wish that these people would better their lives, would just see, I can't keep being this way, because clearly I'm going to get the same result with someone else. And these guys are going to want someone in the future. They're going to want a girl for them. They're going to want to not be on their own anymore. Because all of the ones I spoke to, they have a loneliness about them in some way, I think. I'm not sure about the 21-year-old, but I think he does in some ways. He's very emotionally cut off, I think, but that might just be because he doesn't want to get emotionally connected to me. But But yeah, so I feel sorry for them. But in terms of pros and cons, I'd say the best thing in terms of a pro for giving someone a second chance is it puts your mind at rest. If they screw up again and they're exactly the same person as you were before, then it does put your mind at rest that you've made a good decision to leave. But obviously, if you find it too difficult to leave a second time round, then I would not even give that person a second chance. You've got to be prepared to walk away again, which means two lots of upset and pain potentially. But I just find the second time a lot easier to let them go because they've proven to me that they're just not suitable for me and that they haven't changed. And so it's easier for me to walk away because I'm thinking, well, you've not made any effort to change yourself. You haven't realized you've got a problem. And therefore, there's nothing I can do to help you anymore. I'm off. You know what I mean? It's kind of like flogging a dead horse. And if you pardon the expression, and it's kind of like, it doesn't matter what you do, that person's never going to change. And you can't change them. They have to change themselves. But you would have thought that if you left their life, that they'd be, oh, right, I've got to change now. But sadly, a lot of these guys, or, it might be any gender for you, but I just attract guys. Sadly, these guys don't change. They don't see the error of their ways. They just carry on being themselves, which it's great to be yourself. But obviously, every person needs to be working on themselves to become a better version of themselves, to become more confident, to understand more people, to listen to more people. We need to improve our communication skills with others. We need to understand the difference between right and wrong, that wrong is cheating and lying and deceiving and using, and get into the frame sort of right, which is respecting the other person, valuing the other person. Even if you're not suitable to be together, you should just say, look, we're not suitable to be together because of, not start lying, deceiving, using. It's all wrong, and so, yeah, I think for me personally, going back to give these guys, both the guys from Mate, a second chance has been good for me in the sense that it's just made me feel like I don't have to keep saying what if anymore, because I know categorically I was right about both of those guys. I was much more fairer than loads of women would be to them by giving them a second chance, and they blew it. And so, they were exactly like I thought they were. Spot on. I was right about them. And so that kind of re-emphasizes my own decision making and the fact that I can make good decisions and good judgments about guys, good judgments in the sense that I can judge them for who they really are, as in if they're not good to me, I can judge that and I'm right about it, based on the evidence, and so, it's helped to empower me more to trust my own decisions more, and occasionally, like I said, I've come across occasionally people who give people a second chance and it does work out, but it's very, very few and far between. Usually years need to have passed before that happens, because unless one or both people change fundamentally, you've got the same issues going round and round in circles years later, because no one's done any work on themselves or the potential relationship. And so you just end up with the same issues, and that's really, really bad. But if you feel you need to get a person a second chance for peace of mind, that's fine. But I have to say, it's very anxiety inducing trying to give someone a second chance, because if they got unpredictable behavior, if they lied to you before, if they cheated on you before, if they made you feel uncomfortable before, 9 times out of 10, or even more like 10 times again, they're probably going to do it again to you. And you're going to have to go through all that trauma again. But for me personally, it was a bit of trauma at the time, but not too much. So I'm just glad to have got both of those guys from Facebook dating out of the way. At the moment, I'm kind of thinking, do I really need or want to date anymore at the moment? Because it's really a nightmare. I did have a date with a guy this week, but he's wanted some time to think about things, and I didn't hear from him, so I've just kind of ended it. And I don't believe in ghosting someone like that for the sake of it. I think it's better to just, especially if I've given him time to think about things, you know what I mean, as he requested, and being really respectful. The respectful thing he should have done, just said, no, I've had a think and we're not suitable. But instead of him doing that, he just ghosted me. He did warn me he'd ghost some people. Clearly that's probably what he had in mind with me anyway. But you know what I mean? It's it's not nice ghosting people. I'd rather just say a final goodbye to someone in those circumstances. Obviously there's times when you do just go someone, if people have been really abusive to you, you don't need to speak to them anymore. But yeah, it was kind of like he just, because I said you need to decide whether you want to meet up with me as a friend or more, because, you know, like when I had the date, he was acting and talking more like a friend, but then later on at night, he was wanting to come over and kiss and cuddle me. And it's like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you need to decide whether you want to be my friend or you're interested in me more than a friend, you know, for a potential relationship. So doesn't mean to say it would be good for me to have a relationship with him. Clearly it's not. But you know, anyway, I think it's important that you understand that usually your first judgment about that person, your first instincts is usually always right. And they left your life for a reason. And trying to get back with someone who ruined part of your life or upset you or made you feel a certain way that you didn't want to feel is doesn't come without risks, you know. I would suggest, like, if you're going to do it, give them a second chance. You know, first of all, start messaging each other and see how that goes. Do a video call maybe, and then, you know, if you want to meet up with them again. But always a public place, you know. Time's gone past, however short or long it is, and you need to be like keeping it on kind of public territory, you know, if you get that to that stage. But in my personal experience, like, once a liar, always a liar. Once a cheat, always a cheat, you know. My personal experience for me, but like I said, I know one guy who he was actually my boyfriend for one night. So I haven't really cast him as a boyfriend, but there you go, he was a boyfriend for one night, if you like. And you know, like, after I found out what he's like, you know, like later on when I decided I wasn't suitable for a relationship with him, vice versa, you know, like I said, he is a police officer now, married with kids, and he doesn't cheat and he wouldn't dream of it now. So there are the odd person that can change their life around, you know, but I think it's very few and far between. They have to really want it for themselves. They have to see the error of their ways. They have to see that it's not okay to treat people that way, you know. Some people do, like, you know, like, do really have a think years later and decide I didn't treat that person very well, I should go back and apologize to them. But it doesn't happen very often. I've had one guy do that and genuinely mean it, you know? Because, you know, some guys will just say sorry to get back with you, and that's no good. But yeah, so for me personally, I think it's like, there's no point in giving someone a second chance because they won't deserve it. They haven't changed and they're really no good for you. And it's a lot of heartache and pain over again. But on the other side, if it gives you more peace of mind, if you've got unanswered questions and you want to have a final conversation with them and they let you have a final conversation with them, or you just want to take your personal power back by giving them a second chance, giving them a chance to put things right. If they don't accept it, you cut off from them, then that's good for you, you know? I sometimes think it's more, well, I do think it's more powerful, a lot more powerful, if you end things by saying, like, actually, goodbye, this not work, I'm ending it now, you know? I find that much more effective because it's like a clean slate, and it's like you've said goodbye, you know, you haven't just vanished, but you've said goodbye before you vanished, if you like, and, you know, it just gives the person the ability to, like, know that it's ending. You know, I always try and think, I always think of other people. I need to think more about myself, but I do think of other people and think, you know, like, how they're going to be affected in their later years by the way their own behavior is, by the way they treat people. But also, like, the way I leave their life as well. I prefer to, like, not say anything to the majority of them, but say, you know, like, you're going to be no good for me. We're not suitable. I need to go. Bye. You know, I just think it's more politer and nicer, and it kind of ends things more fairly and squarely, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are. Have you ever had a person you've gone back to and it's turned out good? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Has it ever turned out to be better than before? I mean, some people say, oh, we split up in a relationship and we came back stronger than ever before, but as that actually lasted? Or is it just the honeymoon period when you get back and all the chemicals are flying, you're like, oh my God, I've got my person back again. I loved you so much before and I still love you now. And all the feelings come flooding back. And that's the danger, you see. All the things you had before for that person just come instantly back. And then you might start accepting bullshit again from them start accepting their lies again, their cheating, whatever they did wrong before, and because you don't want to lose them again, because the pain that you had before of splitting up with them was so unbearable, you don't want to go through all that again. And now you're giving them a second chance. You've got all the upheaval of all those emotions and all those problems coming back at you. And it's like, why did you even go there? Why did you even give them a second chance to upset yourself like that again? Instead of just moving on to someone else who's much better for you, and you don't need all this hassle in your life. So, like I said, there are very much pros and cons to both. Giving that person a second chance and not giving. Before years ago, I used to say to you, there's no point in giving a second chance. Don't even bother. And to a lot of extent, I still believe that. However, if you've got unanswered questions, you've got a what if scenario, and you feel that just reaching out to them would solve this puzzle in your mind about what you did wrong, or which isn't anything you did wrong, right? But usually, but it's like what goes on in their head, what went on, if they're willing to open up and tell you. But if things ended badly, they're not likely to anyway. So I think, if you're going to go down the route of like giving them a second chance to feel fairer to them, and because you want to ease your own conscience, if you like, you want to make your mind peaceful, then you can go for it. But always remember that it's like going backwards, and you don't need the hassle in your life. You don't need the energy drain. You need a guy or person that is right for you, that will give you the time, energy, and effort, and who will like literally step up to the plate and give you the standard of love, care, and attention and respect that you need. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful and insightful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live. Right now, I post a new video. Lots of love. And don't forget to post your comments below. And Sakura, nice to see you. Lots of love. Bye. Bye. Hit the thumbs up.